Good evening, friends. Thank you for joining us every evening to follow what's happening in India and abroad. And thank you for sending me your useful comments and suggestions. If you believe in this channel, do hit the like button, share with your friends, and spread the message. Our only mission is to bring you the truth and both sides of the story. Thank you for your kind support. Today we have Deepti Pinniti back with us, looking very bright in yellow.
Thank you, Minaji. The
Yeah,
festive mood has
welcome.
still not gone,
Yes,
actually.
welcome. Yeah.
Thank you,
Now,
Minaji.
a little bit of news before Deepti, just one small piece of news. This
Yes,
sort of
please.
thing has never happened in the history of Maharashtra, is what Yasmin Mankade and his wife told the governor of Maharashtra. They met them today and they said what Nawab Malik has done to Samir Wankade and his family, this kind of thing has never happened in the history of Maharashtra. So we all know this is a vendetta because his son-in-law was caught for drugs and jailed, and now again they are re-investigating the case. So it's very
No,
obvious that he,
this is a new law.
yeah,
This is a new law for us as a
absolutely,
country, Minaji. I am
yeah,
really ashamed. I am
yeah,
really ashamed looking at the way our country and the systems are functioning.
yes,
And a honest officer is hounded, maligned, defamed, and a politician whose
yeah,
son-in-law is caught. I mean, whose son-in-law is a criminal who has been caught
yeah,
with drugs and all. He
yeah,
is going about ranting in the media about and not only that, these mainstream, I mean, these publications like Indian Express and everything, they are also carrying. Swami Wankre has been removed from
yeah. The
Shah
wording,
Aryan
the
Khan.
wording,
Aryan, yeah. Look at how they play with the words to
yes, yes.
uh, brainwash people
Yeah.
who are
But here,
reading.
Deepti, I think it's very important for the government to monitor media. See, if the media,
It is.
spins fake stories like this, it is up to the government to correct them and tell them that, see, make an apology because he's such a respected officer. He cannot be thrown like a rag around here and said that, see, he is removed or he is not in power anymore. It's all a crap. But the government keeps quiet, and the government waits for something to happen, and then they send the NCV to, give a press release. That's not good. Do it at the beginning. Anticipate what the fake media is going to do, and before that happens, give a press release because you know
The
how fake media in
media,
India works.
the media has to be taken to task, Minaji. It has made a
Yes.
circus of everything.
Yeah.
It has made a circus of the national affairs. It has made a drama of everything.
See, when we collect news, Deepti, we look at all sources, okay? But we don't touch sources like NDTV, The Wire, the print, okay? And also the scroll, okay? Because these are the Quint, because these are all left media which cooks up their own stories, and they will do it just for a few pennies, just a few coins, throw a few coins at them, and they will
This is the
build the news that
problem.
you want.
This is the problem, Minaji. This is
Yeah,
exactly the problem because one media is saying, pushing one ideology, another media is pushing another ideology. In the biggest casualty among all this is the truth
yeah, absolutely.
and the public who remain confused
Yeah.
as to where things are heading towards.
See, and what is upsetting is that, see, Samir Wankade is holding a government position, official position, where he can't speak. There are some conditions that don't allow him to speak or defend himself, and that's what they are exploiting. If you're a private citizen working in a private company, you have every right to defend yourself openly. See, for example, the way we tweet or we speak, nobody is restricting us. But in the case of officers like Samir Wankare or people who are, holding very responsible positions in the government, they are told, as per decorum, don't speak about this, don't speak about that. That makes their hands tied, and
And
every sort of attack comes on them, and people start believing it.
exactly, and everyone is looking up to now the center and Modi ji to actually, I mean, lift our country to great heights. And
Yeah,
if the center remains silent
yeah,
when such things are happening around,
yes,
then whom should people look up to?
exactly.
We are feeling helpless. I mean, like all this is going right in front of our eyes.
Yeah,
The arrogance that is being displayed by the Mumbai police, by the Maharashtra government and politicians, we are all seeing it.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know what sort of an image it is creating of India abroad, but I'm really ashamed, Minaji. I'm really ashamed of the way the things are happening in the country today.
And we are also
especially
ashamed.
Maharashtra.
Yeah, and also Deepti, we are also ashamed that though everybody who got the Padma Shri were all befitting common people with who have done extremely well in whatever they were working on, two individuals who were not at all befitting and who were relegated to the dregs of Bollywood have been given the Padma Shri. As you would have seen
Padma Shri.
in Twitter, people were so angry with the Prime Minister and the President for even thinking of giving this award to these two characters. We are talking about
mean,
Ekta Kapoor and Karan Johar.
Same Ekta Kapoor who had made a movie last year, I think, showing the army people in bad light.
Yes.
And that was a pretty
The
vulgar
Baat.
movie that,
Yeah.
some half-porn kind of movie that was.
Yes, yes.
And to such people, if the government, is conferring Padma Shri, then they are demeaning the value of the award itself.
The award itself.
Padma Shri has lost its value now.
Yeah.
I mean, the respect which it used to
fact,
have in my eyes.
Here, in fact, here I'd like to just make a small remark. When Ekta Kapoor and Karan Johar came to receive the award, I was just watching Amit Shah and Narendra Modi ji. Amit Shah remarked something to Narendra Modi ji. Maybe he would have said, tomorrow the dhamaka on social media is going to start, with this. And Modi ji was not even looking at them. He was looking at a book. This is how much importance these two characters got from the top people. Okay, these top people should have thought how an award of such caliber could have been given to these crazy characters, who have done nothing in the name of art.
Nothing except, demeaning Indian culture through their movies,
Yeah.
demeaning the army people and their wives and their families through their movies.
Yes.
If they are being awarded for doing so, then what example are we setting?
See, Deepti, earlier, we had some, actresses and some TV actresses who came to our show, and they would talk about certain ways in which Ekta Kapoor and her company would exploit them. Okay, so these people would come from rural areas. They didn't know Mumbai very well. They would never be paid on time. They would be paid such a small minimal wage, that too after 3 months, where they are forced to take a small room in a flat, which is fully infested with cockroaches and things. Okay, and they're not given their salary only after 3 months, and that too after begging. Okay, this is how they say, and they say very proudly, we are bringing in youngsters from here and there and there. Now, one question to Ekta Kapoor is that how many people from the TV industry in your serials have mysteriously died? Okay, these were all said as they were suicides. How many of them were really suicide? We have seen the Mansukh Hiren case. That was not a suicide. So there is something else happening behind the scenes.
There's a lot happening behind the scenes, Minaji.
Yeah.
But nothing is coming out in front of the public.
Yes.
Even the agencies are aware, even the authorities are aware. I don't know for what they are waiting to bring the culprits to book.
Yes. And recently, one actress, Delhi actress, who she is very close to, said that Ekta Kapoor helped her to get out of depression. Now, friends, viewers, very important to note this: drugs gives you depression. Every other actress or starlet in Bollywood or television industry are suffering from drugs, and then they end up with cancer. So please note, these are all things, signs that tell you what's happening in Bollywood and what these people are doing to these innocent men and women who come in and have no relatives to look after them. And one fine day, they're just gone. If you don't play by the rules.
Not only this, Minaji.
Yeah.
Another achievement or whatever the pointer of the recently awarded Padma Shri, Ekta Kapoor. I think it was during her birthday only that Disha Salians.
Yes. Yes.
So, can anyone ask her this question? I mean, like,
are
they exempt?
On Twitter, we ask her, but none of them will say anything.
No, I'm asking the authorities who have awarded the Padma Shri to her.
Exactly.
Okay, what happened? What happened that night?
Yeah.
It was her birthday party, right? The new Padma Shri, Ekta Kapoor. What happened in her birthday party? Yeah. And if such people are given Padma Shri, then I don't know where our country is heading towards. If such people are made our role models and all, It is like a cleanup of their images happening, because their the image of Bollywood stars has taken a big hit after Sushant Singh's death. And since
And
then, every mainstream media channel and unfortunately the government too, and some ministers too, have been promoting them. First, they were promoted as the ambassadors of the sport. Then now this Padma Shri and all these awards. What is happening? What is happening in the country?
and also,
Why are they
don't
being so much
Yeah.
promoted by everyone,
Yeah.
including the government?
Yeah. And also, don't forget the fact that every birthday or every Diwali, Ekta Kapoor will pay the PR plenty of money to put all the pictures of her hugging every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Okay? But the night before Disha was killed, that party, those photographs were never saw the daylight. Okay? And nobody was allowed to see it. But we got some pictures from Manish Malhotra's Instagram where we could see who were the attendees. Otherwise, not a word about that party. Why? Why the secrecy, Ekta Kapoor? It's terrible what's happening.
It's up to us now.
Yeah.
Meenaji, it's up to us now.
Yeah.
It's up to the
And also
public.
in your case, now see, the diaries are there. They don't mention the diaries, but they now want to go to Google and Facebook to
Yes,
see what
they
are the
have.
dialogues
And
that are
Firstly,
happening.
okay, it's not a bad move, but
Ah.
they should have done that immediately after his death,
Yes.
when CBI came into the picture.
Yeah.
Okay,
What were they
after
doing all this
1
time?
year, after 1 year and 5 months, they have now approached Google and Facebook to retrieve the chats and the emails of Sushant Singh Rajput.
Yeah.
Fine. Here, someone is knocking on your doors, like twice, thrice. I have gone to them. I am saying that I have Sushant's drives. You can retrieve the info from there, and wherein he has clearly mentioned. Even I am sharing the contents on the social media and everywhere, wherein he has clearly mentioned somewhere that if he dies, then these 5 people will be responsible for his death. He was talking about Riya Chakravarti, Shovik, and Siddharth, and 2 other names he told.
Yeah.
The people who were with him in his house
Yes.
before he died. He took the names and he told them that they betrayed him. And he said that if ever he was killed, then any of the 5 or all of them will be responsible. Is this not such a big evidence? Why are they ignoring? Why is the CBI ignoring evidence which is coming to its doorstep? Okay, fine. I have been trying since March, but at least they have given their official acknowledgement of my letter to validate the drives in August. And this is November. Till now, I haven't received a call, except that one call where the SI, I think, Anil Yadav, he promised that he will talk to the seniors and get back. When I told that, please kindly, when you set up a meeting, kindly have the CBI IT team also, because we can validate, so that I don't have to, go 2 or 3 times with the drives and all. I will carry the drives with me, and please have the CBI IT team ready as well, whenever you give me an appointment. And since then, I haven't heard anything from them.
Yeah.
And now we are hearing in the news that they have approached Google and Facebook to retrieve. I don't know. I really don't know what is going on.
Yeah. Also, one very important thing before we start, Deepti, I wish the Prime Minister, because he always presents a transparent image of what he owns and what he doesn't have. Okay. So he's a man who does not have a house. Okay. Even his brothers and family, he has not given any jobs. Okay. He is a true karyakarta. I wish Prime Minister Modi, sticking to his principles and motto of being clean, would check each and every minister under him and their assets. Because what we found was this, in their second tenure, some of the ministers have made so much of money and so many houses. How did they get so much money when our Prime Minister himself remains homeless? So this is something Modi has to take, or Modi ji has to take on a very strong thing. In that itself, you can find out who are the corrupt ministers. And it should be done in every BJP ruled state to find out. See, that is the first example you can show the opposition, because we have not found any corruption, but we know that there are some people who are doing. Okay, so this
Now
can be
the
done,
opposition,
Modi ji.
no, now
Yeah.
the opposition is getting something to point fingers at them. They
Yes.
are saying
Yes.
that they are doing witch hunting.
Yeah.
I mean, they are filing false. I mean, they're doing false raids on them. They're
Yeah.
using the central agencies and doing vendetta politics and all.
Yes.
Then Modi ji should prove it wrong by first
Yeah.
initiating action against their own ministers, who everyone knows that without indulging in corruption couldn't have risen so much in stature in such a
Yes.
short time.
Yes. See, for example, even Fadnavis, he did not react to Samir Wankhede till we all questioned him. Then he went to the center, and that's the time when he said something about Samir Wankhede. But the
I remember
moment his
this.
wife, yeah, came under
I
attack,
remember this, Minaji. You, especially you had taken, you had pointed out that you had asked question on your show
yes,
that why Mr. Fadnavis is not reacting.
yeah,
What is he doing?
yeah,
He is the
yeah,
first one to react to anything. Why is he silent in this case?
yeah,
Okay. So immediately after that day, the next day itself, we got a comment or a statement from Fadnavis
yeah,
criticizing the actions against Samir Wank.
yes, yes. But what I'm saying is, Deepti, they are aware of all this that's happening in the underworld who is supporting the present Mahavikas Aghadi. Couldn't this have been exposed much long before? Do you have to wait for something like this to happen to your wife that you have to expose it? And we don't care for dynamites and bombs or hydrogen bombs. We want you to speak the truth and be transparent. That's all the public have voted you for. So give us the truth. We do not want you what this nexus between you and the underworld and people like so many people. I mean, I wouldn't even name them because there are so many strange, weird characters that you are in dealing with. Kick them out of the door. Have transparency. Yeah, coming back.
Yeah, I am. If the only thing that is lacking is will from the
Yeah.
politicians
Yeah.
and the lawmakers,
Yeah.
they don't want. They don't
Why?
want.
Why does he have to give proof to Sharad Pawar? Everybody knows Sharad Pawar's reputation. If you want to do something, go to court and expose them. Stop this lip service. We don't want you to tell Sharad Pawar, as though Sharad Pawar does know. He's a baby who is drinking milk. Everybody knows his character.
Everyone
And we know
knows.
what Nawab Malik stands for.
Everyone knows, but these people are still roaming free.
Yeah.
And honest people like Sameer Wankhede are being called for questioning and inquiries. This is not happening at all. This is not happening at all. Anyway, let me continue
Yes,
reading
please.
Minaji
Please.
because in today's slides, it's as if Sushant wants to connect to people, most of them.
Okay.
Towards the end only, there is some information and some names that will be coming out.
Okay.
Okay, so there are a
Please go
few.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Okay. So in the last session, I ended up where he was pointing out how it was our own mistake and why it happened. He had told 2 points. I will continue with the third point. Okay. Sometimes our upbringing. If someone wants to misunderstand here, I cannot help it. But yes, sometimes I feel it's our upbringing that is making the difference. Our upbringing sometimes gives me the feel that we were taught diplomacy from a very young age, and sometimes corruption too, on the lighter note. This point here is a generalized scenario. I would sum it up as follows. 1. Always speak the truth and never stand with what is wrong. But are we actually allowed to do this? I do not think it is, because if this was the case, when someone wanted to stand up for the truth or make a strong point, did we not have fill all kinds of shit in the mind of the person who wanted to do this then? What was the point when in our young days we were taught to stand up on the side of truth? 2. Comparisons. Life was a race from the day one we were born. Be it the grades in school, be it in sports, be it in any aspect or stream of life you want to choose from. There was comparison everywhere, and I do not think I need to write volumes here on what I am trying to say. If we go back and think about our own lives, most of us will fill this up themselves. Though some selected lucky people had that blessing by default, where they were given that option to follow their own mind and take their own decisions. I consider myself too lucky here, very lucky. 3. Social values and etiquettes. We always were taught to stay away from bullying, and turn a blind eye to people who were trying to gain advantage out of people. Be it anything here, like a fight happening in front of your eyes or whatever. Here, I do not want to elaborate the matter, and I am sure the people are wise enough to understand the subject and also the context in which I am making this point. I have made these points in the past, and the reason I am making a mention of it here again is just because when we get into the controversial pages of our history, these lines are very much required to be revised again because we need to have that neutral and that mindset wherein we make that effort to understand the things first and then decide on it. The biggest mistake we do as humans is we decide first and then try and understand what is the matter and why we took the decision in the first place. The day we stop this, we will have a much better viewpoint in life actually. My question to all those learned people, if you teach us the value of truth and loyalty in an early age and yet want us to close our eyes when something wrong is happening in front of our eyes, what is the need for us to be taught these values at an young age? Why this contradiction? And my question to God here is, if you wanted all of us to think the same and do what is being told to us to do, why do you give us brains? Why did you give us the power to think and analyze? Think, guys, it's in us. We can get this. It's just that we are not thinking to our full capacity. Unfortunately, there is no one to be blamed here, but the situations that we are being in makes us get used to it. But the one point that needs to be adapted in life to help us keep going is that we have it in us, and it's just that we have not thought that deep, or we are not ready to go that deep within ourselves. God gave us this life and has given us a brain, not for us to blindly follow what is being thrown at us. If that was the case, then God, who is believed to always give us the best, would never have given us a brain at all in the first place. The only reason that organ is in our body is because that organ has a specific task to do, and we need to give it the task for why it is in our system to become better individuals. I agree, nothing happens within the blink of an eye, but something has to start, right? And there is no tomorrow. If you want to succeed, what has to be done today has to be done now, should be done in this moment, and should be acted upon. I am sorry if I am venting it out here, but the only thing I fail to understand is that why do we need to follow things blindly? When we know for sure that if we use our brains a little and think for ourselves and follow ourselves, is it a mandate we will follow the crowd? What is the entire difference if we do this? Please remember this forever. The thoughts that come in your the thoughts that come in our mind, we got to streamline it for our benefit. The biggest war a man can fight is within himself, to keep this thought process of his in check and have definite boundaries to his perceptions, but keep exploring aspects of it to infinity. Simply means that we should be open to learning. And the last one, the face of this earth to make a judgment. Before making a judgment, ask yourself this question and keep asking this question before you make any judgment. Then see how life will be beautiful. Where will this judgment place me in the next 5 years? Once I am there, will I have to look back on this judgment and repent over it, or will it fill my face with a smile? Before you judge anyone, think about this one line that I have mentioned here today. 4. The fear in us that is filled in us on the name of being decent. I would not call this wrong or want to make a wrong statement here, but the words which are fed on to each mind from a very young age. What will people say? Log kya kahenge? This has been one of the biggest questions or the biggest setbacks that has always made sure that anything that someone wants to do different, the idea takes a major hit when this question is thrown on to them. 5. If you do this, that, then where will we go? This, I feel, is another question that has hampered our thought process and made sure that we are not breaking the standing norms in the society. This question comes out of nowhere when someone wants to explore Close your eyes and imagine how many times did each one of us have had this question thrown at us. Sometimes I feel the theme in our society currently is a defensive mindset that has taken over in our society. And it's because of this mindset that is dominant in our society. And this is the reason that not many get it from inside to think something different from what is happening around them. When there is wrong happening around you, no matter how hard you try, there will be no change that will ever change if you do not change your thought process and come out of this mindset. And do not consider those people who are just there to speak. All they know to do is speak and find faults and point fingers at you. The biggest irony in our society today is that most of them do not do anything but just gossip on things which will not take anyone anywhere. Now the questions that come to my mind when I see how the tables turn when there are huge names are involved, and how the cases where there are huge names involved, how the entire scene changes. Now let me frame some questions so that we can actually understand what I am trying to tell here. I will go on and explain the thing now by making comparisons so that we all have to be aware of these comparisons when we start asking questions. And these questions definitely need to be asked. If we have to make sure that we have our society function the way it should, and this is not the way our society should function, at least according to me, this is what I feel. I am not sure what you feel or think about. But in my books, a healthy society is one where the law system treats everyone the same, and there is no special perks to anyone, come what may. I had explained how it is for the common man in the earlier slides. Now let's, for a change, revisit all those points and study them here, keeping in mind the context we are discussing. 1. For the common man, there are a lot of cases pending in the court. In this instance, a SLP was accepted and heard, breaking all the norms and the procedures that the courts follow. Why I am saying this? After some discussion with people who practice law, the conclusion that I have arrived here is that there is no possibility for a vacation bench to take a case up and rule a judgment unless a regular bench has issued prior orders on the same, unless there is some emergency or the issue is about national security. This norm is in practice that unless a regular bench declares the same, that this is to be heard by a vacation bench, this possibility is next to impossible, keeping the context in mind because the matter neither was an emergency or urgent matter. Try doing a check all by yourself and learn how the process works. You will find a lot more that can be added in here. But the only reason I am giving it a skip here is because our system is perfect. But the problem is with the people who are handling it. And if you really want to know more on this, you need to put your own effort. Because me explaining it with my understanding can actually spread a wrong message out. It depends on each of us how we want to understand things. So if you want to know more on this point, you please can consult an advocate. 2. For the common man, the court is on a vacation. I have explained this point above, and the context here sometimes is the same. But most of the times, what happens is that the reasons are different, but the ultimate motive is what is in question. I am forced to ask this question because of what is happening. If all that is said and portrayed to the society is true, then everyone should have had the same treatment. Here it's totally different when it comes to the common man. And when it comes to the elites, the thing is entirely different altogether. For how long will this go on? 3. For a common man, when a judge retires, a new judge is appointed, and the case drags on, moves on. This is for the common man. But there are instances in the court when a sitting judge has settled out a matter out of the blue, with a lot of concerns which were never addressed or taken care of, and yet the judgments have come out. There are a lot of examples for this, and here I do not want to take those cases up here because I feel it is very important here that even I get to know how many people in the society actually want to see a change in the society. When 65% effort in solving an issue is in front of you, you need to put that 45% into it, because it is very important that we have our efforts put when we want to see results. When I share this on the public domain, I will definitely raise this question out to the public. The summary is in front of you. You have the codes and systems to answer. You have the websites to look up to. You have people whom you can talk to. Let's see how many can try and find out those cases which were closed by a judge who was about to retire under questionable circumstances. I can very well I can very well answer this question here, but I will come back to this a little later. Before that, I want to see how much do the public have in them to take decisions for themselves. How much do they have in them to get things done? And how much is the need that the public actually have to understand what the truth is and to work around it? Let me do this small fact check to understand the exact mindset of people in the society. Do this small research yourself. It's not that difficult to get this done. You will find answers almost instantly. That's how much our technologies have progressed. Now, it's very important that we tune our mind to get on the same page and use technology for our benefit. We have to do some things for ourselves, and we have to be sure what we are doing. That's the reason I have left this to each and every citizen of the country to decide how they want to get to the root of this matter here and what they want to add in here. But yes, let me give this hint here. There are enough number of cases that were closed by judges who were just about to retire, and the way the judgments were given are a matter of debate, and the circumstances in which the judgments were made are highly questionable as well. Like one instance, I have already explained what happened when a vacation bench was set up. I request each and every citizen of the country, please wake up. We can have a peaceful sleep once we are done with this cleanup. The more the number of people we are, the sooner we will get the results. Why not take this chance and get united and stay strong and be sure that we are going to achieve it? If we are united, and then once we achieve what we want to, then there is no way we will ever have to look back. Because once this mess is cleaned, this in itself will be a very big lesson to all those who have played around with our feelings and emotions all this while. 4. For the common man, if the judge changes, the case can go anywhere. Question mark. This is a curse that has been haunting our legal system for a long time now. Every time when there is a crucial stage a case has reached, the judge gets transferred. Not always, but most of the times, especially when the case has a different perspective attached to it. Like if there is a political or a higher angle attached to it, then this happens most of the times. Look back in the pages of history. You will find a lot of connections where you will see all this has happened. But what happens to this logic when the case has a big name in it? There is no transfer of judge or nothing. These cases jump the queue and get almost an immediate hearing. This has been happening for a very long time, and it continues to happen even to date. If you have a close look at it, you will find that cases that have been pending for years suffers to get a bench, but a case that has a big name involved gets a vacation bench too if needed. Minaji, Minaji, I want to add something here.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I want to add something here out of my own. This is something which I am not reading. Whatever Sushant has written here about a case getting immediate hearings if a big name is involved. We all of us saw this with Aryan Khan.
Yes.
He got back-to-back hearings.
Yes.
Three hearings, and whereas in Indian prisons there are many under trials who are waiting for a hearing in court, but they are still in the jails.
Yeah.
They are still in the
Absolutely.
jail. Their crime has not been proved. They're still under trials. They're waiting for a hearing, maybe since months, since years. That is the difference between a common man and if someone influential is involved. That is what
Yes.
Sushant has written, and that's what we have seen come true in front of
Yeah.
us in
Yeah.
case of Aryan Khan.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to actually especially stress on this point, Meenaji.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll continue reading now.
Yeah. Please.
Okay. There is no doubt about it, and we all have to agree that courts are overloaded. There are shortage of judges. The proceedings take time. We need to have patience because when a case makes it to court, there are practical and realistic problems that can come in. Sometimes a case might take longer than expected to reach a conclusion. Taken all these factors indeed sound practical, but on the flip side, what happens to these problems when an elite case comes up? I won't speak about any other case here, but will just speak about the case that we just discussed. The norm that generally is followed is that a regular bench, after studying the emergency of the matter, decides whether a hearing is needed and then directs it to a vacation desk, giving instructions to hear the case on priority. But here, was that followed? You do not need to spoil your brain too much here. All you need to do is to look into the website of the Supreme Court and follow up with the chain of events. You will get all the answers that are needed for you to make your own connections. And I request everyone who wants to know the truth behind all the incidents that have happened in our country and that continue to happen, all we have to do is some research on the same. And once we are on this path of studying what exactly are the reasons all this is happening, a lot of things will actually connect and you will get answers to a lot of questions yourself. And this is the best way to learn if you do what has to be done yourself. 5. For a common man, there are taxes and rules to abide to. This is one very interesting point in the context here, and I have to explain this very carefully so that right message spreads. Let me give you a short introduction to this point before I actually get to the point in contention here. I agree that the tax structure is pretty much the same for everyone in the country, but there are different parameters for the types of taxing. You can consult a professional CA for the same, and you will know the different types of taxes for each profession. Then try to go back and see how many sportsmen become entertainers, and the likewise. You will understand what is the point that I am trying to make over here. These are some important pointers which our establishments have to take cognizance of because this will open up a lot of angles when it comes to black money. And since the man in the center is on a mission to get to the roots of black money, the day the days in future are not far when all these angles will come out in public. Just waiting out to get this documented perfectly in accordance to the tax laws of our country. And I would be glad to be the whistleblower of this campaign. Because if our establishments keep an eye on this angle, then there will be a lot of hidden agendas that will come out, and the system will be cleansed from its roots. For me, as a citizen of my country, the first thing that should actually be practiced by anyone who is a public figure is clarity. And the reason I am saying this is because if you take a closer look on most of the so-called men of the mass, before they came out with their public life and after they have, you will see a skyrocket change in the fortunes they have made. How was all this possible? It was possible by exploiting the loopholes in the tax system and corruption, of course. Now consider this as a prediction or warning. The scams that happened in the past, when the flaws in the banking system of the country stood exposed, will be nothing if the activities that are currently happening and will continue to happen till this issue of the flaws in the taxation system, if we do not explore and take stringent measures to get it back on track and fix them, starts getting manipulated to. Put it in simple words, the banking flaws that lead to a list of scams will look like a small mole, rat, in front of the scams, and the inner truths that would come out when the flaws in the taxation system come out in the open. There is a huge list of it, and it needs to be carefully studied. And we will have to do a lot of homework before we actually present it to the public. But the bottom line is as simple as this: the system has a lot of loopholes, and these are the loopholes that are strategically exploited. This needs immediate attention, yes, but it equally needs to be presented properly and presented to perfection. Within brackets, correction. But the bottom line is as simple as this: the system has a lot of loopholes, and these loopholes are strategically exploited. This needs immediate attention, yes, but it equally needs to be presented to perfection. The only reason I am stressing on this point here is because the main reason all the crimes that are happening in the society is because of the predominant confusion that is prevalent in the society today. And our mission is to clear this confusion so that people can see through things and can understand what was the game that has been played, that was being played with them. And it's very important to ensure that the confusion doesn't get added up with our work, because this would be the biggest crime that we would be doing. I completely agree that small mistakes do happen when we are involved in something which is going to change a lot of perspective, and taking in consideration the nature of the issue and the greater goal we all have. My simple answer to myself is, when we know that the journey is going to be big and all that it takes to be flawless is to walk just a few additional steps, what's wrong in walking that extra yard? Yes, when the greater good comes into the reckoning, these mistakes, small errors will not count. But the issue that we are handling and the lessons that are hidden in the pages of history teach us that no matter, even if we are 100% perfect in all that we do, errors can be found in 100% perfection too. Or there will be situations that will be created so that you commit that mistake. And when we have this ringing in the back of our minds, this becomes that much more important, that we do not give any opportunity for the same to happen with the matters we are speaking about due to one small error created by we ourselves. Just to ensure that you do not get a feeling that I am diverting from the discussion on hand, we are discussing the point number 5. For a common man, there are taxes and rules to abide to. And this introduction what that I am currently giving is very, very important to understand why this point makes to my list in the first place. I have to keep reminding myself that my fight is against these issues that remain hidden, because these powerful people use this as that strategic weapon which is used to make sure that they always have the upper hand. And if we are successful to neutralize this weapon, then there is no need to do anything else, because our prime target should be the masks these people have worn. And once these masks fall off, then there is no need to do anything additional. All that we have to do is we have to make sure that we keep facts out as they are, and the public will do the rest. Because once the masks have fallen off, the real faces will be visible. And the common man has enough common sense to now decide for himself what is right and what is wrong. And after all this, if someone still decides to be naive, then it's his fault, not ours. But one, two people not getting the context of the matter can be taken into consideration if a greater lot gets to know the subject, because according to me, that would be a much better position our society would be placed. When compared to today's scenario, where one, two people actually know the truth and are not able to get it out with fears best known to all of us. Though definitions of these fears can be different, but the general outlook, if we try to make heads and tails out of it, these fears pretty much are the same, with different names or instances added to it. The point here is very simple. Unfortunately, it's the numbers game that is making the difference. Now, because we have now gotten used to this lifestyle, and in order to bring changes to it, we need to ensure that we have it planned first. And we have to plan this carefully with the right strategy. According to me, we should be doing this. 1. Start spreading awareness and slowly start opening eyes of the people. 2. Parallelly propagate the benefits of leading a honest living. I will read the second point again, Minaji. 2. Parallelly propagate the benefits of leading a honest living. It's very important that we ensure that we convert these starts and ensure we have permanent closures achieved. Because the one mistake that happens always is that we manage to get starts, but we are not able to reach the destination and jump into other things. So we need to carefully ensure that we initiate these starts and work towards giving it a closure. And because the issues that we have on our hands are huge, and it would take a lifetime, or rather, one person will not be able to achieve this in this lifetime, it becomes important that we divide the task amongst ourselves and have the best one in the lot to supervise the whole thing. And this is how we need to plan our path ahead. Because today, what is happening is that there is no ways anything that is truthful is getting its due credit, and it is not coming out the way it should. And if anyone has to be blamed, there are only two people to be blamed for this. One, we ourselves for actually getting used to it. Two, the masks these people have worn to make us believe them. Us, we, me, these are only the three people who are to be blamed, because no one can do anything wrong to you till you yourself want to be wronged. Special cases, yes, I understand, but your today is the byproduct of the choices you make. It's a very rare case scenario that you have fallen flat on your face when you have listened to your instincts. Now, there is another important point that I feel needs to be made here before we continue with the discussion on hand. And that is, yes, it's very rare that you might have fallen flat on your face when you have listened to your instincts. But then the other angle that comes into the picture here that deserves equal importance is the frame of mind that you are in when you have taken the decision. It's often said that one cannot see his reflection in boiling water. So it's very important that before we listen to our instinct, we need to ensure that there is no emotion running in our mind, and we have a clean mind to understand and make the decision. Because the one thing that each one of us should remember, that it's very easy to get carried away with the flow and make the choice that is quite obvious and would look to be right because of the numbers attached to it. But it is very difficult to actually stand against the flow. That 1 second pause and look into the matter, understand, analyze, calculate, and make the right choice. And in most instances, you will be in for a challenge and might fall all alone while making the right choice. But remember one thing, situations keep coming and going, time will also change. But the only thing that remains constant is change. You do not need anyone to follow you or influence your thought process, because everyone has a brain and every brain is unique. And by default, we all have it in us to eventually make the right choice. And for this to happen, you need to trust yourself. Keep giving yourself those chances and understand that if someone can decide who you are and what you want to be, it's you. So, till you feel you can be successful, then you are bound to have success. Ironically, good things do take time, but the good things that take time because they are going to stay with you forever. This is what this is what each of us should understand and make one of the two choices. One, quick success with short time joy. Two, gradual results with long term returns. I know I will be sounding hypothetical and bookish here, but that's another irony that's been fed into the society today, that all this would look good only in books. But we tend to forget that the experience that we all have today is because of these books. And when we have a situation where our intellect gives in, these are the same books we refer to get solutions. The only mistake we do is we do not understand the propaganda that is being thrown at us, because we ourselves do not have our own agenda and look up to others to decide how we should be marching forward. The point that I want to make here is that everyone needs to have that organized schedule in their life and also a definite agenda for themselves. What is it that they really want and what is it that has to be done? Getting back to the point we were discussing on taxes and rules, if we take a closer look on the way the society is functioning, these rules and guidelines that are in the society today is only for the common man. Take any walk of life and try to recollect any situation that is practically happening in the society today. Then place two people in these situations and answer these questions that I am going to ask now. The two people you need to keep in these situations, rather say the first option is a category and the second option is the common man. 1. Some influential, be it anyone, businessman, celebrity, sports star, politician, respected public figure. 2. Common law abiding common law abiding tax paying citizen of our country. And the questions that I'm going to ask now will make each of us understand why did this point number 5, make it to my list. I had started this chapter with two case file numbers from the Supreme Court of India and also had made a mention about the coal gate activities of Adani and then explained this chapter to you. Now, as finishing touch to this chapter, let me give out some more details and also make each of us aware how this chapter turns out to be the eye opener to each of us. The reason I had priorly mentioned about the case files first and also the mining related issues that the Adanis had was because my intention was once I am done explaining the thing and I get here, I wanted people to instantly relate to what I am trying to say. Follow the case files closely and then see what was the case filed, when was it initially admitted to the court, and then how soon are the proceedings going with all due respect. One of the many questions that I have here in this context is that what about the other cases that have been pending for years and are getting dates over dates over dates? One case comes out of the blue and is fast tracked, that too in a way that it is almost close to judgment and also makes its way into the vacation desk, breaking all the norms. Does this mean our legal system is biased? Yet again, let me spell it out once more. I am not raising an allegation on anyone or trying to raise questions or point fingers on the legal system, but some concerns and the way these concerns were addressed forces a logical mind to believe in these grounds. Unless there is clarity on these issues, it becomes obvious that there is bias. There are so many other cases in the court. If these cases were given half the importance of the case which we just discussed, a lot of issues that currently continue to damage the society, we can get a definite full stop to them. I'm sure that by now most of us would realize that it is pretty much the same bunch of people who are running the show and are causing all the mischief. I have asked this question to a lot of people, but have not got any satisfactory answer for the same. And I hope the message that I wanted to share here is loud and clear now. And the facts that I wanted to get it out to the notice of the common man are these, as I have stated above. Now, to get things straight, as far as what I have kept explaining all this while, it's quite clear with this instance here that we as a country have everything in us, but the only thing that we lack here is the will issue. And if this will issue is taken care of, a lot of developments will happen at a much faster rate, and we all will be able to get going, growing a lot faster than the rate which we are growing currently. All that hurts me even more is that when the country comes into the picture and when these issues stand as a barrier in the way of our development, what is it we are letting these issues off so lightly? And why is it that we are ignorant? And when all these issues are raising alarms so loud that even the deaf could hear it loud and clear, the case that I have discussed here is one of the many cases that have been handled this way. And there are many more that will make to the list. And yes, I am well aware that when we get all this out, I will have a lot of criticism, and a lot of people will team up and put a stamp on my head that I am anti Adani or anti Ambani. But the one thing which I have followed and will continue to follow is that I have no enmity with anyone. My only concern is the wrong that is happening in the society. And if any name that comes across my eyes and has done anything wrong, I will not think twice before I make a mention of this here in the list. And I will also ensure that I will document it well, because the only thing that will remain permanent is what is inscribed. Now, for example, if we have to study something about an event that has happened in the past, we have scriptures, books, and written mentions of it in one form or the other. But when it comes to these kind of activities that have been gnawing on the roots of our nation, there is not a single mention of it anywhere. So we need to ensure that now this is also readily available. My action plan to ensure this thing here, which I have documented, this work remains unchanged. But I will make sure that I will have multiple hard copies of this work readily available, and also will convert these into read-only links so that everyone will have access to it. If in any way I am not able to achieve what I want to and would be put to rest when the work is not complete, the steps you need to follow, which I feel is the best way to do this, is convert this entire work offline, get a workspace attached to it, and generate links. Minaji, I will skip this one. This is how to decode here given some information. Yeah. The main thing that needs to be done is have this ready and make sure there are multiple copies for once. Let's learn from the mistakes the people who took up these challenges did. As I have told earlier, the people who are up to these tasks have everything ready at the back of their palm. And also the people with experience who have handled such situations in the past, there is no much damage on these people's side. But on the contrary, on our side, we always had deaths and damages. So, this work we all will have to ensure that we will have backups for ourselves and for the people to come who will take this work up, if in case I am not able to complete this work. Now, all the work that I have done and documented here, this has to be made easily available for the common man to get into this. To get into this would not be easy for a common man. But then the common man, if he needs to refer anything, then we need to ensure that we have this in much simpler way and readily available for the people who want to refer this. The next chapter, we shall speak about three great businessmen who have done a lot for this country. Done a lot in the sense: one, generated employment; two, made it to the list of respected philanthropists; three, have made various investments over the years; four, made the Make in India a huge, roaring success. Along with these eye washes, these businessmen are closely connected to each other, like the three Khans of Bollywood, and also share their strategies and then plan the entire show. In order to explain this and also make the right connections, we have to go back in the pages of history and start it from the point where all this began, and how was this executed, and how does this continue. I have given out a lot of connections about how the scams in the stock market and the other scams have happened. Now let me go ahead and explain how exactly do these people plan their investments, and how does the money rotation happen, and also how they manage to get this done every time. Before I start the chapter and speak about it, the three people who are the topic of discussion here are: 1. Kumar Mangalam Birla; 2. Reliance Group, both Anil and Mukesh; 3. Gautam Adani. I had started the subject with three businessmen, the only reason here being that Anil is no longer having the same privileges he used to have. Yet again, how I got to know about how well all these people are connected, the answer again is MS Dhoni. Let me make one point clear here. As far as I have known this man and have spent time with him, he is genuine and does not have his hands in all of this. Ex- expect except for small concerns like endorsing the wrong brand and being there in the context always for the weightage the name carries. Now, if you ask me how MS could be connected here, the answer is very simple. The connection MS has in this subject dates back to the first IPL, where MS was supposed to be a part of Mumbai Indians, and the reason he ended up in Chennai is a huge business strategy in itself. And what are the common connections around it? Let's talk about it now, and then let's get to this chapter so that all these faces stand exposed. The thing that I am going to reveal now will shock some ears, but this has facts written all over it. And the only thing one needs to do to verify this is to just do some homework around this. And then things will come out crystal clear in front of each one's eyes, as and we will all know that it was right there in front of our eyes and we could not actually see this. As I have always said, my mission is to get clarity into a lot of untold stories that never made it to your ears. The reason I am using the word story here, let me make it clear too, is just because when a fact remains hidden till the fact is proved or comes out to the eyes of the people to see through it, it remains a story. I am sorry to have used such words here, but the fact remains that we humans tend to follow this from a very long time, because for us this has been inducted into us to not believe anything till we see or hear about it. But the only mistake we make is we are very selective where we apply this. We are very selective where we apply this. Anyways, all this is known. But what is not known and what has a lot of angles to it, and also which was visible to the naked eye, and no one could make head or tail about it, is the way in which facts were kept hidden or selectively shown to us, led to all this not anymore. Just a small introduction now before getting into the chapter. And also, here I will explain how the psychological game was played too. The 2007 T20 World Cup was just over. And as I had explained earlier, how BCCI borrowed the ICL idea and started the IPL, now when a new league makes its way out, or let me reframe it, to when something new makes its way out, the first question that comes into the picture is how to make it popular. The simple way to make it popular is to make sure that the locals get attracted to it. And this was a game of cricket. And the best way to get it done is to get a renowned player from the region into the respective regional team and then project it accordingly. So the same tactics were applied, and all this happened behind stage before the actual actions happened. And the concept of icon players came into the picture just to ensure that a lot of hype is created before the event actually kickstarts. The following were the preliminary preparations that took place. As icon players, Sachin Tendulkar went to Mumbai, Saurav Ganguly went to Kolkata, Rahul Dravid went to Bangalore, Virendra Sehwag went to Chennai, Yuvraj Singh went to Kings 11 Punjab. The teams that were left out without icons were Rajasthan Royals, Chennai Super Kings, and Deccan Chargers, Hyderabad. In the meeting where the initial bids for the team ownership was to happen, came another controversy which came up and it was quickly sidelined. The reason I am making a mention of it here is because it is very important for each of us to understand how deep the setup was and how it is showing the true colors now. N. Srinivasan back then was the treasurer in BCCI. And when India Cements won the bid for the Chennai team, there was a lot of backlash. And then Lalit Modi and N. Srinivasan both came out with explanations that N. Srinivasan was just a stakeholder and not the owner of India Cements. You can look up for this in the web and you will find relevant reports around it. How L&T Cement became Ultratech finally. Do not get confused here. I had earlier explained how the L&T remained a government undertaking because of Mr. Naik and Manmohan Singh, making sure that the fall that was planned did not take shape. But yes, the cement unit of L&T was not up to the mark and was always in the news. Earlier, I had explained how Dhirubhai just before stepping down as chairman, sold his stakes to Grasim, owned by Birla, and how Birla became the front runner for this deal to be materialized. Many believe this was the needed push to save L&T from becoming a private entity. And today we see L&T standing as a huge giant, but this angle died down with time. And in order to ensure that the real faces are out, we have to discuss this angle and how IPL became the common ground for this angle to come into play. I am surprised and astonished to see that each and every angle is connected, and this was played all this while. And again, I am sorry, but I cannot help. We all ended up becoming fools of the number one kind because we could not see through this and we fell for it. When this league had started, no one could even doubt when this league had started, no one could even doubt that this league could be the easiest way to take care of a lot of black money. And as the league progressed and the confessions were made, we have now gotten to learn how true this statement stands that IPL was an easy pick to convert black into white. Just giving a small idea here so that this does not evaporate from our memory. And this preface, rather short preface, is very much required so that things become clear. The one person here who was well connected with everyone was Sharad Pawar. And the connection that I am going to establish here is as follows. 1. India Cements trying its luck out to negotiate with L&T for the shares they possessed along with the Birlas in L&T Cement. 2. Adani becoming the front runner in SEZ related projects and Reliance becoming the giants in petroleum and chemicals. 3. Yashvardhan Birla and Shah Rukh Khan connections. 4. Vijay Mallya and Birla connection. Let's go one by one here. First, the MS Dhoni buying angle and what conspired here, and how is it related to the business world. MS Dhoni buying angle here refers to the purchase of MS Dhoni by Chennai Super Kings. For the businessman, it is always a game of profits. I have explained how well N. Srinivasan was playing with Jagan, and here Adani was very much interested to do a lot of investments in Andhra. Adani was kept out of the IPL with instance from Mukesh Ambani, and Adani was well connected to the Deccan Group, and to some extent Vijay Mallya, Manu Chabria and Vijay Mallya angle. Finally, Birla, who was interested in L&T, the deal that happened was Chennai Super Kings can use Dhoni's name to get endorsements and make up for their annual profit. Here, Mukesh was not happy. So the game that was played was only for the first season. The maximum cap for a team was set to $5 million. I can strongly say this because this was only for one season. And in the next season, $2 million were added extra to this. Because if in the first year as proposed during the team buying meeting, the $7 million purse stood, then there was no way that Nita Ambani would have given up on Dhoni. No matter how hard I try to explain this connection here, I will end up confusing you because this is real deep. So I request you to let me complete the whole chapter and then you take a decision on whether my explanations hold value. I have the entire incident in my mind and I will explain it categorically in the next few slides. The only request I have to make here is that we get to the end of this chapter, then put our brains to work. I agree, it to be a little confusing, but Minaji, here comes the next slide
Yes.
where they try to add another slide.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
So now I will read the slide which was added. Okay,
Okay.
I had done. We actually, me and my team, we do the mandatory checks
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
see if because the main link is also with 3 other people
Yes. Yes.
who are helping Sushant's culprits or the powers behind them to get access to
Yeah.
these drives.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, decoding these drives is very, very difficult.
Difficult.
I mean, even very difficult, in fact. So, through those main links, they have been constantly attacking our systems,
Yeah.
our work. They have been monitoring which slides we have reached.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this time they wanted us not to read something
Yeah.
which was mentioned in. I will read what they changed and then I will read what was the original one.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll read the last line here. I have the entire incident in my mind and I will explain it categorically in the next few slides. The only request I have to make here is that we get to the end of this chapter, then put our brains to work. I agree it to be a little confusing, but now the manipulated slide I'm going to read. But at the same time, the one aspect which we all need to remember here is how these games are played. And we all are taken for a ride because we often take things how we see it, not how things actually are, and how we need to be careful and sure about what we want to do. Now, the deals that happened under the table was Srinivasan will soon be made the president of BCCI and he will get MS Dhoni in his team. And he stops his negotiations with the L&T. Adani will not bid for a team and stay away from IPL. I'm sorry. This is the original slide that I'm reading, Minaji.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. This is the original slide which Sushant wrote, which I'm reading now.
Okay.
Afterwards, I will read the slide
Yeah.
which they tried to change.
Yeah. Change. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now this is the original one that I'm reading now. Okay. Now the deals that happened under the table was Srinivasan will soon be made the president of BCCI and he will get MS Dhoni in his team. And he stops his negotiations with the L&T. Adani will not bid for a team and stay away from IPL. He would have monopoly in SEZ and complete support in Andhra from Srinivasan. Birla had his connections with the Rajasthan Royals team, and he too was given no opposition in his deal with L&T. Smooth deal. Ambanis had ensured that they carefully conspired slow and silent transition of Reliance Communications to Reliance Jio through Infotel Broadband Services Limited, IBSL. If you go back and see the time around when Ambani purchased this company was the only company that got broadband spectrum in all the circles in our country through a government bid. And they were already having big plans to emerge as great players in this field. But then when Reliance took over, surprising, no sounds were made. If you need the best proof for this, all you have to do is a quick jog down the share bazaar of Gujarat. A lot of mouths will tell you a lot of stories, but the summary of all these stories would be ruthless aggression and threatening approach to get what they wanted to have. But no one will dare to come forward, look into the eye of these people and speak up. Because if we look back on how the days have been, there are so many pages that are colored with the blood of one person or the other. But you will get a lot of ideas on how these people work, and these streets have some experience that and these streets have some experiences that each and everyone has to learn, because these experiences can be a lesson of a lifetime for you. The real story of the IPL and a lot of other things that we need to discuss. And when we get through some chapters, some names will come up. And it can be disturbing too. But then there are so many facts attached to it, so many dirty stories too. This has to go categorically and systematically. This sporting event will turn out to be the mask everyone needs. I have nothing if the business angle was looked into. When the IPL started, but all the black money and other activities that are believed to have happened this far, there are different chapters in this chapter, and we should make sure that we cover all angles and all the stories that are a part of this and the other stories that happen behind the scenes. The factors that make me believe these also, I will explain it as well and make sure that everything is crystal clear so that there is no confusion whatsoever. I'm just making sure that everything is clear and we are on the same page and understanding this. Minaji, this was the slide that Sushant had written.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but when we were trying to decode through one of the main links, they had, and another software, they had inserted another slide.
Yeah.
Okay, they had masked. I mean, there is a technology and all. Okay,
Yeah.
they mirrored and so that we couldn't. It doesn't come up in
Make
the
out.
checks. Yeah, we cannot make out that was
Yeah.
not original. It was later when, after I had shared this slide, the manipulated slide, which I'm going to read now. After I had shared it, one of the user pointed out that there is no continuity from this
Yeah.
slide and the next slide. So that's why I decided to check again. I mean, go deeper into
Yeah. Yeah.
the checking
Very
process,
good.
and then
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how
Good
we
work.
found this out. Yeah.
Mm.
So the slide that they inserted was, okay, I'll read that last line again. Okay. I have the entire incident in my mind and I'll explain it categorically in the next few slides. The only request I have to make here is that we get to the end of this chapter, then put our brains to work. I agree it will be a little confusing, but now the inserted slide. But at the same time, I need to ensure that every single angle is covered, because unless we do this, there is no way the complete fact will actually come out to the common man and the entire effort behind it becomes useless. Now, the deal that happened under the table was N. Srinivasan gets MS Dhoni in his team and he stops the negotiations with the L&T. Adani does not openly bid for a team and gets N. Srinivasan's support in Andhra. Birla too was asked to stay out of IPL for his deal with L&T for Ultratech to go smoothly. Birlas were after Rajasthan team. And Ambanis had their share wherein they were told no one will bother them with what Mukesh wants to do with Reliance Communications and his under the table deal with Infotel Broadband Services Limited. Infotel Broadband Services Limited, a small word on this company needs to be made here. This Ahmedabad company was slowly emerging as a huge challenge to all major network providers as it was managing to get the spectrum broadband in all the 22 circles in India. This ISBL today is known to the world as Geo. So you see how deep these connections are, how over the years IPL has been one event where some negotiations can happen without gathering much attention. And most of the negotiations that happen, the stink that it would raise was getting covered with the smell of the sweating crowd. Correction, ISBL is a typo error. The abbreviation for Infotel Broadband Services Limited is IBSL. So you see how long visions were set and how were the plans executed. A lot of things like these are behind the hidden doors and will never come out till someone puts an effort to bring them out. Now the one question that comes to mind is, what is our agencies doing? These kind of issues are not hidden from their eyes. I'm not sure what to say here or how to put this across. But the fact remains that if we go back to the pages of history, we see all this and these incidents have not gathered any attention. I'm not raising any finger here on anyone, but the point that I want to understand here is that is all this is happening and no one is aware of these things that have happened. There is no ways, there cannot be any explanation for it. These things have happened and no one seems to know about this. Anyways, bygones are bygones. Now it is time that we get these matters out. And when we get these matters out, then it stopped here and the next slide started from a new sentence. So this is how some user
Yeah.
pointed out.
And also, Deepti, see, they are using the same language that SSR is using.
Very clever. And
Lot
going
of
forward
work.
also, Minaji, see, technology updates and advances at a rate that we can't even imagine. Every
Yeah.
second, every minute, and every hour, all over the world.
Yeah.
There are updates in, even in one software, there will be multiple updates
Yeah.
if it is popular. So we
Yeah.
have to keep track of those things, and they are trying newer ways to get into these slides. It is
Yes.
a different matter that Sushant is such a big genius. My God, I mean, he has, encrypted it like a fortress.
Yeah.
Though it is very difficult to get into them, it is very difficult to destroy it as well, or alter or edit
Yeah.
his
Yeah. Yeah.
slides. So
Yeah.
now what they are doing is that they are masking these slides and inserting
Yeah.
newer slides.
Yeah.
So
Cunning. Very cunning.
yeah. very cunning. I don't know what the one thing that public and I want you to analyze here, that as I was telling in the last show,
Yeah. So,
kindly go through
no,
both the
wait,
slides and
here, Deepti, I just want to ask you a question. See, here, when they rewrote it, what were they trying to say?
no more.
Nothing much,
Nothing much here, but I think
except for the geo, no?
yes, the geo thing and that they had how they had threatened. Here it is written that it's under the table deal.
Hmm.
In that slide, it's written that they had the streets are full of blood and that they had
Yeah,
threatened and of course aggression, ruthless
yeah,
aggression.
yeah.
That's what the story says. Maybe I mean people should make out who wanted to
Yeah,
edit this
cover that up.
slightly. Yeah. So I mean, just look at the way this their brains function. They haven't edited the entire thing so as not to raise suspicion. Okay, but certain things that
Very clever. Hmm.
I mean, if it hadn't been for Sushant Minaji, I mean, all these
Yeah.
things wouldn't have been possible.
See, here,
I mean,
see, wouldn't it have been the right thing for the government of India to have given a posthumous award for Sushant and a Padma Shri for Samir Wankhede, who caught over 300 peddlers and investigated the whole matter and came up to the superstar's son's door. If these two people had been given, then people would have forgiven you for giving it to Ekta and to this Karan Johar, you know, but they didn't do it.
see, depends. ये तो राजा ततो प्रजा, they say, right? The center should now lead by actions.
No, no, not
It
that.
should now lead by
See,
actions. I mean, see
see,
if
this Sushant Singh is a Pandora's box.
Minaji, firstly,
If it opens up,
first and foremost,
half your people are being exposed.
no. Even before thinking of an award to Sushant, the first thing they should do is acknowledge the drives.
Yeah.
You have acknowledged my application. It's been more than 2-3 months now. Okay, you are saying you have approached Google and Facebook to retrieve the Sushant's social media info. I am here doing all the hard work, and I am here knocking on the doors to give the info that he has written here. I don't understand. I want to ask this question to the CBI here. What exactly is the agenda? How the investigations are going on? And why is it now? I'm not saying that you should not retrieve the chats and emails and all. That's a good step, but it should have been done long back, not after 1 year and
But
5
again,
months.
here also an argument. An argument is that, see, on whose side is Google and Facebook? From what I read, Google News is all about praising Bollywood and putting everybody else down. Okay, Facebook.
Minaji, I didn't.
If you talk about all this, you are banned in Facebook. Okay, so whose
Minaji.
side are they on?
No, I didn't want to talk about this because I didn't know that you are also aware of these connections.
Yeah, I'm very much aware.
Okay. Yes. So let me then tell it that is this just to, I mean, like close this case or manipulate the data or whatever is found into, because they can be manipulated.
Yes.
It's not that I didn't want to feed it into you, but since you you yourself have come up with it, let me tell you that there are cases going on against the likes of Google and cases in international other countries as well. Yeah, for unethical practices.
Manipulating things, yes.
For manipulating things.
Yeah.
So they can be manipulated. Is this why the CBI is approaching them?
Approaching them. Absolutely right.
Then in this, if such is the situation.
But here, Deepti, here it's not going to work out because the public will protest. Now, in earlier times, when it was the case of some other cases in Delhi, like I forget the girl's name, that would have worked because social media was not so active. But now, public is not going to let you go CBI if you have any intention of that sort.
Yes, Minaji, and if they have a leader like you holding the beacon and showing them the light, I'm sure. I mean, the public should be grateful for your platform as well. Okay. And if in spite of all this,
no,
no,
Deepti.
Minaji,
I
if in
have
spite
so
of all
many
this, the
enemies.
public,
Yeah.
no, if in spite of all this, the public still just continues to watch the shows and then talk about it and then not raise a voice, if it's not now, Sushant is written it over and over and over again.
Yeah. And see, it's very important, as Deepti says, viewers, for you to shout out. Because, see, half of the comments today, I'm very happy, are from viewers saying that, see, we learned to fight after watching Candid Meena. Very good. If I've taught you that, well and good. Okay. Now, my one question to, CBI is that Nupur, who is on Twitter, has not even once answered anybody on Twitter. Okay, I don't know why she's following me. Okay, if you're following me, you should ask me questions or I should answer my questions, right? No, she doesn't. Okay, now she's silent from the day they started handling the case. So what is she on Twitter for? Okay, if she cannot be transparent, I'm not saying that you comment about the case, but she can always say, SSRians, we are on the case. Okay, we are doing it in stages. No, but there's something very, very shady about CBI, which I don't trust.
It's now very obvious and taken that there's something very shady, Minaji.
Yes.
So now it's up to the people. I mean,
Yeah.
you have shown them the light. You have shown them. You have shown them. You have put the light. You are carrying the torch, and you are showing them things as they are. If in spite of that they don't react, and they don't take a stand, then even God can't save them.
Yeah.
And the future generations.
Absolutely.
Ninaji,
So
I think, today was a long
yeah,
session.
Yeah, message is very
Yeah.
strong from Deepti. You've heard her. Okay, make your voices one. Join with us, and let us, at least reveal what is happening backstage.
We have
so
it
that
in us to
Sushant
bring the
gets.
change. As Sushant
Yes.
says, we have it in us to bring the change. All it
Yes.
needs
Yes.
is that we need to stay united and
Yes.
stand united against the wrong.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much. With that, Deepti, you've taken a lot of energy to give us all this, and it's all very, very educative. At the same time, as she says, don't sit back, fight, and make your voices heard, and make some change happen. That's important. Okay.
Respect the work and the sacrifice, the hard work. Noting down his experience in this way that people understand.
Yeah.
I seriously am amazed and full of wonder for this
Yeah.
superhero. I will call him a superhero now, Sushant Singh Rajput.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So thank
Yeah.
you, Deepti.
Okay,
And we'll
Thank
wait
you.
for the next show from you. Thank you so much, and good night.
Thank you. Good night, Minaji. Good night.